Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by Austin Brubaker. It is Friday night in the big town. We are awaiting the snowstorm that has not reached yet. It was supposed to be here at noon. Well, first of all, we were supposed to be out of school today, Austin. That didn't happen. Then it was supposed to be like, well, maybe around noon. The drive home might be a little bit better. That didn't happen. Then it was supposed to be like around 6 o'clock, so everybody canceled their basketball tournaments. That didn't happen. So now we're sitting around bone dry. We're supposed to have 6 inches of snow tonight, and then another 6 inches tomorrow with a foot of snow in Oklahoma, and we have not seen the drop yet. Doesn't mean it's not coming, but I have looked at the radar. It's not. There's nothing really headed towards me yet. I'm a little bit north of Oklahoma City, so I need some advice here on the snow, Austin. How are you doing this evening? Friday night in the big town.
Yeah, so it is Friday night in the big town. Great to be able to be here with you, Case. A little bit different here, not in the fact that we're getting a lot of snow, but it's starting to get real cold here. I think right now it's -4 degrees outside, and that's not Celsius. We're talking about -4 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's not wind chill. That's actual temperature.
That's actual temperature. It's going to drop down to like -10 tonight. It's something ridiculous at this point. No, with the snow that you're going to get, it is do what you can. Go out, have a lot of fun shoveling, maybe make a snowman. Gonna guess that you don't make too many snowmen around there. Maybe a snow angel, all the different fun stuff. Casey, just be safe out there. It's crazy that everything gets canceled down there when that's just a normal day here in the state of Michigan.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
100%.
It's great to be able to be with you, Casey. I'm not in my normal setup. What I have, actually, it's very much a little bit different setup that I have.
Can't tell. You sound great.
I know. I literally today have my phone as the thing that I'm recording off. So I've got both earbuds in. I normally don't like both earbuds. I normally just have one in. But stuff was happening onto my computer. Weird stuff. Had to order a brand new computer that hopefully should be arriving on Wednesday. So excited about getting that, and also excited about talking some Dodgers baseball. So we've got the phone set up. I had to pull out my old iPad that I had. So I got this iPad right when I was going into college as kind of before I make an investment in a computer, I'll use the iPad. So we got the iPad for research today. Phone right up there. Excited to talk some Dodgers baseball.
Okay, we're going to dive in right off the bat. I just lost you there for a second. You probably had a call is what happened there, would be my guess. Okay, so first of all, Evan Phillips. Let's talk about him. I think he's a guy the Dodgers will sign as soon as spring training starts. And you say, well, why would the Dodgers wait until it's spring training? The 40-man roster is full as we speak right now. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers had to DFA Michael Ciani. Do we have an update on Ciani? How's that going? Have they found a trade partner? It's going to be 7 days.
Yeah, so he was actually picked up on waivers by the New York Yankees. He is a New York Yankee now. Okay. He is not on the 40-man roster for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's on the 40-man roster for New York. So no longer part of the organization. I think they were trying to keep him around within the organization, but that just wasn't able to pass. They had to make room for Kyle Tucker, and obviously you choose Kyle Tucker over Michael Ciani every single day.
Yeah, so the way that happens is you have I think it's a 2-day window, maybe a 3-day window where you can trade once a guy's DFA'd. If you don't reach that window, then that player gets put on waiver wires. And the way the waiver wires works is teams can bid on a player, and then if a team bids on a player, the team that finished in the furthest away from first place actually gets last dibs. So I assume if somebody swoops in and gets Michael Ciani that finished below the New York Yankees did you say Yankees or Mets?
Yankees, I believe, is who we went to.
If somebody comes in and swoops them in that finished below the Yankees last year, they actually could take him away. That's how the waiver wires, typically speaking, works. I don't know the timing of that, so don't exactly quote me on that situation, but Michael Ciani is gone. So the 40-man is full, and so let's go through this. I've gone through, if you add Evan Phillips, the 13 pitchers that I would have, but why do you add Evan Phillips at spring training and not now? That is because then you can add whoever it's going to be onto a 60-day IL stint, and that opens up that spot on the 40-man. You worry about the 26 later whenever you break spring training. That way you don't have to DFA another guy and lose another guy like a Michael Ciani for nothing. So if the Dodgers do sign Evan Phillips, which I hope they do, like Show says, which I think they will do, it will not be until spring training starts.
Yeah, that's the expectation for Evan Phillips. So just a little bit of a background with him. Only less than 6 innings pitched last year, missed the vast majority of the time, and that was in part injuries in the early part of the season, and then the later part of the season obviously missed a lot of time, and is going to miss some time at the beginning of the season. I don't think there's an expectation for Evan Phillips. Maybe All-Star break would probably be the hope for a lot of teams. It might be that trade deadline acquisition, but signed through free agency, and you don't have to give up anything besides money to be able to get. I think that's the hope with Evan Phillips and the Dodgers. Maybe it's a 2-year type of deal to provide Evan Phillips some insurance long term, and for the Dodgers organization.
$3 million a year.
What was that?
$3 million a year.
I don't know. It depends on what the length of the deal is. If you're talking about just a 1-year deal, that perhaps could be something that he looks down. I don't know exactly how much he was making in previous years, but that could be something that you look at for this upcoming year. If it's multiple years, my guess is it's going to be a little bit more than $3 million a year, only because the talent level of Evan Phillips suggests that, man, he's a high leverage type of reliever. We see high leverage type of relievers get close to
often injured.
Often injured, yes, but you're paying for some of the upside of what he's able to bring. And even somebody like a Seranthony Dominguez today, who's not dealing with injury, got a 2-year, $20 million type of deal. If you're talking about Evan Phillips, he's right in that same category, if not even.
Oh, so you're thinking close to $10 million. Wow.
If you're talking about a multi-year deal, I think you're probably going to be talking about a 2-year, maybe a $13 to $16 million for the entirety of that contract is what you potentially could be looking at. That provides a little bit of an overpay for the first year, but a little bit more on value for what he is worth overall as a high leverage type of reliever. Evan Phillips, Adam, he is going to miss the first half of the season, so you want to go ahead, if at all possible, add him to where you can add somebody up to the 60-day injured list. That player on the Dodgers organization, because I don't think you can move a player that you sign immediately to the 60-day IL. I think you got to move somebody else. I would anticipate that player to be probably a Brock Stewart, just because I don't know what his health is going to be. And I think the expectation for Brock Stewart is he will probably miss 2 months at least. So you can move Brock Stewart on the 60-day IL, bring in Evan Phillips, and then if you want to re-sign a Kike Hernandez, you can do the exact same thing. Move Evan Phillips to the 60-day injured list, and then potentially bring in somebody else. Move Kike Hernandez to the 60-day injured list. All that starts when pitchers and catchers report, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So the longer that Evan Phillips has remained a free agent, the higher the likelihood that he's going to return to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that's a really good thing, because that's another impact right-handed reliever if he is healthy.
Who's better, Jack Dreyer or Anthony Bonda?
Based off of what they did last year, it's Jack Dreyer. Anthony Bonda has a very specific skill set in that he is able to pretty well dominate against left-handed hitters. But if you're talking about buying into the upside, it's got to be Jack Dreyer with what he's able to do and just with the overall production that he has. But some of the underlying metrics suggest perhaps there could be a little bit of regression with Jack Dreyer coming forward this upcoming year, but also we've seen Jack Dreyer continue to dominate year in and year out. If you want to make a choice as to who do you want to keep or who do you want to buy upside in, it's Jack Dreyer. But if you want to keep as many arms as possible, the Dodgers might make the decision to keep Anthony Bonda on the roster, because Anthony Bonda, if he's with the Los Angeles Dodgers, has to stay with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jack Dreyer pitched a lot of innings, has minor league options. There's a little bit of flexibility that the Dodgers have, especially with how much Jack Dreyer pitched last year, to send him down to the minor leagues if necessary.
Will the Dodgers keep Anthony Bonda around knowing that he has no minor league options, and they have Justin Robleski, who has Game 7 World Series experience, and Jack Dreyer, who has proved that he can get outs in every which way at the major league level? Is he worth keeping with no minor league options?
So my guess with what the organization is going to do is they're going to keep Anthony Bonda around as long as they possibly can until they need that flexibility. And the reason why I say that is because...
But what does Jack Dreyer have to prove in AAA? What does Justin Robleski have to prove on a Tuesday night in Sugar Land?
I'm not saying they have anything to prove at the AAA level. What I am saying is that the organization knows that they deals with injuries quite a bit, and they don't know where that's going to prop up, and especially early in the season. Early in the season is kind of a little bit more of an assessment of what is the health of this? What is the health of this pitching staff actually going to be like? And the last thing that the organization would want to do is move immediately off of Anthony Banda. Then all of a sudden, Tanner Scott goes down and Alex Vesia goes down, and you start to get a lot of pitching injuries to where, man, we really wish we had Anthony Banda. My guess is they're at least going to keep Anthony Banda, assuming that there's not any really high, big external moves that they're going to have. They're going to keep Anthony Banda at least through spring training, get an assessment of where the health is at and where some of the progression is. And if it is something where, man, they have several of these guys that are just pounding at the door at the big league level, and they have to give those guys opportunity. And they look at, Tanner Scott's healthy, Alex Vesia is healthy, Jack Dreyer, Justin Robleski, all healthy. Ronan Kopp is killing it also during spring training. We have too many lefties. Anthony Banda doesn't have any sort of flexibility. Perhaps it is something that they move off of. I think they are a little bit more patient with that, only just to see what happens early in the season with injuries. If guys stay relatively healthy, and man, Justin Robleski is killing it down at the minor league level, I think that's when you could start to see that move happen pretty quick.
Only in the Dodgers system can Justin Robleski do what he did in Game 7. And then on a podcast 2 weeks before spring training starting, we're talking about what he's going to do in AAA Oklahoma City.
I know. Yeah.
Only in the Dodgers organization can you have that conversation.
I'm not saying this is a fair conversation to Justin Robleski, because if it was a fair conversation,
it's anything but fair.
Yeah, he would be at the major league level. And if you're talking about, this is not to say who would they trust in high leverage situations, who would they trust in the postseason setting. They showed you who they trust in a postseason setting, and that's Justin Robleski, because he didn't just pitch in Game 7 of the World Series, a do or die game.
Point.
He pitched in Game 6 of the World Series as well, and the highest leverage type of situation. So when push comes to shove, if they want to take the highest leverage type of arm, that's Justin Robleski. The question is, do they want to go to the highest leverage type of arm yet, or do they want to keep the maximum amount of guys to spread out the amount of innings, so then the guys that they need to be healthy, or the high leverage guys, aren't using up all their bullets in April and May. They're using up all their high leverage bullets in October and September, and when baseball games really truly count for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Ha-Seong Kim's speed or Alex Freeland's pop? Which one is more major league ready, and which one impacts major league games more?
Well, if you're just talking about a major league skill set that is most major league ready, I would say Ha-Seong Kim's speed, just because that's not going to change regardless of what happens throughout there.
But Freeland's a better fit because he can play third base too.
I wouldn't necessarily say better fit, because I think you can make both options work with Andy Ibanez on the roster. You're just looking for somebody that can fill in second base against right-handed pitching. I would say which one is most likely to be overall skill set, overall game, ready to succeed and thrive at the major league level, and how much room is there for those individuals to grow at the minor league level. Ha-Seong Kim got a long way to grow at the minor league level, only because his skill set that he has requires him to make more contact than what he's making. And both at AAA and at the major league level, he is not making a whole lot of contact, striking out near 30% of the time. That cannot be the game of Ha-Seong Kim. And the expected numbers that Ha-Seong Kim, while I would anticipate him to overperform expected numbers, still are not great, and a really big red flag for him. With Alex Freeland, while there still was some red flags that you saw at the major league level and still a lot of swing and miss, I think he's just a few tweaks away from being somebody that could be at least competitive at the major league level, to where I think there's a little bit less tweaks that Alex Freeland has to make, or at least for him, I always say swing more at the baseball, swing, or make better swing decisions, or be more aggressive when the ball is in the zone. And I think if he makes that one tweak, I think you can see a lot of his skill sets type of grow. Both tremendous defenders, both that do a lot of good things on the baseball field. It's just, what do they need to do to be able to help grow their game to where they can be successful at the major league level? I think Ha-Seong Kim just got a little bit more ways to be able to develop and grow at the minor league level before he's ready, which is why I'm leaning more towards Alex Freeland being on the 26-man roster for opening day as opposed to Ha-Seong Kim. Although I'm happy to be proven wrong in spring training. Ha-Seong Kim is a fine and fascinating player in the Dodgers organization.
You know, an outfielder that we don't talk about a lot. We always talk about Josue de Paula. We talk about Zire Hope. We might even get into a Cole Myers and a Zach Earhart and a Chris Newell and a James Tibbs III. We definitely get into Sirotto. We get into Quintero. We get into Kendall George. You know, a guy that we never talk about.
Who's that case?
Really needs to be talked about, and that is Charles Davalon. Charles Davalon is a guy the Dodgers got as the player to be named. Let me start this virtual camera, and then let me put it up here for you. I've actually got on the screen right now. Charles Davalon's a guy the Dodgers got back in the player to be named later in terms of the Gavin Lux trade. So can you see that now?
Yeah, I can see that.
And this is a guy that is absolutely a great athlete, okay? This is a guy that has a big-time hit tool. This is a guy that has great experience at the University of Arkansas. I'm telling you, SEC baseball, day in and day out, is just a fantastic experience. Charles Davalon's a guy that we have not talked enough about. He finished last year at Ontario. I would be shocked if he starts at Ontario. To be honest with you, if I was I know there's a log jam. I don't know why he would. I would be shocked if he didn't start at Great Lakes. I would be very disappointed if, for however the log jam is, I know it's a log jam.
Yep.
I would be disappointed if he's not in Tulsa by about August.
Oh no, he's got to be at Great Lakes for at least an extended period of time, which I think is what you're kind of alluding to right there. Yeah, Charles Davalon. Obviously, I have not a chance to be able to watch him in person. If you were a fan of the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, who he was playing for, he just tore it up during his very short time. Just 37 plate appearances, what he had, but he batted 500 during those 37 plate appearances, 244 WRC plus. He is, at least from what we saw right there, exceeded what low A competition has. So I'm excited about Charles Davalon. I think you're looking at a little bit of a new outlook type of outfield for Great Lakes this upcoming season. I think it's probably going to still have Eduardo Quintero, but if you pair Eduardo Quintero and Charles Davalon, win that mix with what the brief amount of experience that we've seen him at the minor league level, I think you're going to talk about another really exciting outfield for the Great Lakes Loons. Yeah, for just his brief appearances that he had, showed a decent amount of power, 235 isolated power, didn't necessarily strike out a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of what you can take away from the numbers, only because it's so small of a sample size. But from what Rancho Cucamonga Quakes fans got to see, Charles Davalon, really fun player.
I think the most ready hit tools of all of the outfielders, when you talk about Quintero, Hope, Paula, even a Jaron Elkins, Zach, maybe even a Zach, include all those guys.
Yep.
I think the two most ready tools right now, if he was healthy, would be Sirotto and Charles Davalon. I think I think there's a difference between saying, okay, right now on January 23rd, 2026, if I had to throw a guy out there to play in a major league game tomorrow, which one do I think would be less likely to be overmatched? And I would say Mike Sirotto and Charles Davalon. Now, if you're going to say 3-4 years from now, who has the upside to have the most complete type of game? Because don't forget, Charles Davalon is a very, very good athlete. I agree with maybe a statement in here that Eduardo Quintero might have the highest potential of tools, but I'll say this: Eduardo Quintero also, he's younger, I get that. He also has shown a few more holes than Charles Davalon. Kind of what I'm saying is, I think Charles Davalon has that same upside right now that you see in a lot of these guys in terms of a hit tool, defense, and all that. I just don't see any of the downside for Charles Davalon in terms of, okay, well, as he moves on, this is what might get him as pitchers get better. I see less of that in Charles Davalon and Mike Sirotto than I do in any of the other outfielders.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, let's be patient with that. We saw a very brief amount of time with Charles Davalon, but what we saw, we just saw half a year with Mike Sirotto at the minor league level, and even that was just so spectacular. Overall, just tremendous.
But I saw a lot of him in Arkansas too, though. I mean, you got to. I saw a lot of him in Arkansas.
Yes, you've seen more of him outside of the Dodgers organization as well, and it's super exciting to be able to have a couple of these guys. You have some tremendous tools in the outfield, and if a lot of this stuff is able to come together, just you're talking about an unreal type of outfield prospects within the system. Charles Davillon, they got with the comp pick that they got from the Cincinnati Reds from the Gavin Lux trade. Both of these guys, or Davillon, Sirota, super exciting. Man, how about an outfield if Mike Sirota is healthy, of Quintero, Davillon, and Mike Sirota and Great Lakes to start the season? That sounds like a good plan to me.
Let me get to some Sirota video. This is why I've said, I don't know how many different times, that the Dodgers have more top of the echelon talent in the outfield than they can ever use at the major league level, ever, by about five times over now. Very important. We say this all the time. Not all these guys are going to advance and continue to advance and be the players that we think they're going to be at this moment in their careers. That probably only one or two of them are, if you just actually played the odds. That's how tough it is to become a major leaguer and actually live up to the hype of somebody like a Josue de Paula or a Zire Hope. That's not throwing shade on any of them. That's just to say that's how baseball works. That's how hard it is. So your point to this, Austin, this is a fascinating conversation as you're looking at Mike Sirota here. I'm going to throw up some Eduardo Quintero video here so you can see him too. Your response to that would be, that's why you hold on to him, because you have to actually wait to see which one does continue to advance in the skill sets towards becoming a major leaguer. I say that's why you have to trade them, so you do it before they lose their value when people figure out which one it is that's not going to be the major leaguer. So Which one do you think it is? Do you hold on to them and wait to see which one does blossom, or do you get rid of them right now when they're possibly at the highest peak they ever will be? That's a fascinating conversation.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation, and I think it comes down to where are you at in the organization and where are you going to be. And the reason why I think the Dodgers, at least at this point, it doesn't mean go ahead and make a move that is going to make the team dramatically better from what it is right now, which I don't know how many moves there are going to be. This team is already really, really good. But the reason why you hold on to a lot of these guys, you advance 2-3 years into the future, and you want this team to be able to get into a state where they don't age out of competition. And one of the ways that they're going to have to do that is they're going to have to do that with an influx of young talent. So how do you go ahead and get an influx of young talent? You can do it one of two ways. You can go ahead and potentially trade some of these guys for younger players to be able to fit into the mix. That absolutely could be something that the Dodgers do. The question is, you are going to have to overpay with a large quantity of these guys just to get one player that can potentially fit that type of mold. The second option, which I think they have to do at some point, especially with a lot of question marks of what the future of Major League Baseball is going to be from a financial type of mindset, is I think they have to have at least one, maybe two of these guys actually hit and be productive players at the Major League level to get some sustained success, to add some guys that aren't going to be on expensive contracts, but are still going to be productive guys to fill in the next wave when Mookie Betts starts to really decline as an offensive player, when Freddie Freeman potentially is no longer around, when you don't have Max Muncy, you need another influx of young players. One of the ways that you can go ahead and do that, especially if you have a large quantity of outfielders that you don't have to add onto your 40-man roster that can develop at the minor league level and take the next 2 years to be able to develop, is you get to see which one of these guys is actually the real deal. You get to continue to work with them to be able to help them grow. And even if it is something where, man, 4 of these guys are not going to be full-time major league hitters, but 1 or 2 of them is, that's all the Dodgers need to be able to help add some sustained long-term success to this organization. And I think you hear that with some of the comments that Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes are making about why they wanted to sign Kyle Tucker to a short-term deal, is because while a lot of focus is on the 2026 season, their minds are on 2028 and 2029 as well, and making sure you don't see the Los Angeles Dodgers as many other front offices, many other organizations have been, to where they had a really good stretch, maybe even a prolonged stretch, but then it got to the rebuild years, and those years sucked. This organization is trying to do everything they can to win World Series championships and make sure that there is not going to be a rebuild. There is just going to be success in winning in Los Angeles. And part of that means hitting and getting some of your young talent to be able to add to the mix of the organization. That's the argument for keeping as many of these guys as possible. Is one, there's not a whole lot of room to be able to upgrade these guys at this point. They don't have to be added to the 40-man roster. And two, long-term sustained success requires you to have some of these guys hit at the major league level, and you don't know which one of them is going to hit, so you keep as many options open as possible, so then that increases your odds of hitting with one of these guys being a success at the major league level.
Yeah, AA test is going to be huge for Josue de Paula. Let me kind of give you an example. I know I've been hearing about the plate discipline. I'm of the opinion that plate discipline could actually be something that hinders Josue de Paula, and I'm kind of looking at it the same way with Alex Freeland. I think at the lower levels, you're taking all these pitches, and these pitchers aren't able to execute. The umpires aren't very good, and you walk at the lower levels. As you get to the higher levels, taking all those pitches turns into strike one instead of ball one. And now, like Alex Freeland, because you're taking pitches, you're not walking as much, you're actually striking out more. So I think that plate discipline of Josue de Paula, we're going to actually see how big of I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying we're actually going to see as he gets to double and triple A, if that actually becomes something that actually is a carrying tool for him, or if that actually is something like Alex Freeland that as he gets against better pitchers is going to make him start striking out more. For instance, Alex Freeland at the high A level had a 24.5% walk rate based on ball rate.
That's in 2024 during this month in Great Lakes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to clarify with that.
Yes. Okay. And then he had 13%, but that time he had 24.5% there and a 14.5% strikeout rate.
Yes.
Okay. Then he goes to double A, and that with the same approach and same everything, 13.2% walk rate in double A, and it doubles and he exactly flips that 21.4% strikeout rate at double A Tulsa. You look at Josue de Paula at the high A level, 21.7 walk rate. So that would be 3 points less than Alex Freeland there. 16.5% strikeout rates, which would be 2 points higher. So the potential is there for an Alex Freeland type setup to where taking so many pitches isn't actually plate discipline. It's just lower level minor league pitchers not being able to throw enough strikes. And as he gets up to higher level pitching, those pitchers do throw strikes, and then we'll see actually if Josue de Paula is able to make that adjustment in terms of that not being a carrying tool for him. I'm not saying it will happen again. I'm saying that potential is there.
Okay, so there's a couple of different elements. One, walking is really good for you because that means that you're getting on base. And Josue de Paula does a really good job at being able to draw walks at the high A level this past year. I think the 21% was in 2024 at Great Lakes during his half year. Last year, it was about 19%, which still is right around the level of what it was during the previous year. That's 69% better than the league average Midwest League hitter. And so you're talking about somebody who has a really good ability to be able to get on base. And what having a lot of walks creates a really good foundation and baseline for production. Drawing walks is a great thing to be able to do. The question is, how are you going about getting those walks?
Yes.
And I think with Josue de Paula, the way that he's going about getting these walks, at least at this point in his career, which remember, he was a 20-year-old kid at the high A level in Great Lakes. That's far younger than what the average Midwest League hitter actually is. Josue de Paula did not swing his bat a whole lot. Swing percentage is closer to 36-37%. That's well below league average. As far as the swing percentage, that's the exact same problem or same thing that Alex Freeland dealt with early in his career. Same thing I think Dalton Rushing is dealing with. So the question is, how long can that particular aspect in his game stay steady to where, last year he had about a 20% strikeout percentage. Is that going to increase as pitchers are able to throw more strikes going forward? And I think with Josue de Paula,
will he have to swing more as he gets to higher levels? That's my question.
Yes. And I think
it's exactly what you're saying about Freeland. One of his biggest problems, he doesn't swing enough.
Yes, and this just comes
That's
down
a caution.
to.
That's all I'm doing is giving a caution here, right?
Yep. And this just comes down to, okay, he's really good at laying off of pitches outside the zone. The question is, and this is the balance, is how aggressive do you be so then you can swing at pitches inside of the zone? Josue Paula, I think as he goes up, that's just going to be an adjustment that he has to make. Luckily, with both Josue Paula, with Alex Freeland, I think that adjustment is something that they can just work on and be able to make that type of adjustment if it's, hey, you need to be more aggressive inside the zone. I think Josue DePaula has shown an ability to be able to read the baseball really well. I think a lot of the scouts, a lot of the people, you just watch him, that is something that he does tremendously well, is be able to read pitches. It's okay, you can read pitches really well. Now let's be a little bit more aggressive inside the zone, and especially the in-zone swing percentage. I don't have those specific numbers because they aren't public, but I'd like to see that go up for him a little bit this year, even if it comes with, okay, the results weren't exactly there, but he's learning what if he has to do, and he's using his great eyes to not just be good at taking balls, but also be good at swinging at strikes. That is the balance for both Josue DePaula and Alex Freeland at this point. But Josue DePaula, I mean, last year, 143 WRC plus at the Great Lakes level. Tremendous production of what he has. Great ability to draw walks. There's still added elements to his game, which is why the Dodgers aren't going to promote Josue DePaula next year unless there's a dramatic increase in production of what he has. But they still have a lot of time with him, so be patient with Josue DePaula.
Yeah, and we have a comment about Diego Cartaya and Bobby Miller. And I can say this, if you watched this show, nothing that's happened to either one of those two guys has been a surprise to Dodgers Daily whatsoever. I just go back to all the receipts when Diego Cartaya got to Double-A. I went on and on and on about how he lifts his hands and he swings with an upward plane to his swing. And when you do that, you have a hole on the inner half because you're lifting and you just don't ever get the barrel out to the baseball on the inner half. And so because of that, you have to cheat to that inside pitch. And when you cheat to that inside pitch, now you're susceptible to everything that's soft away. I even started that when he was at the high A Great Lakes level about this is a potential problem for Diego Cartaya. I'm excited to see what's going to happen to him whenever Double-A pitchers are able to expose that hole in his swing. And so I was not in any way, shape, or form surprised that Diego Cartaya was forced to make that adjustment. He tried to flatten his swing. He tried to flatten the path of his hands. It just was too late. So that was a process that, quite honestly, if you watched Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, that was something that you should have seen coming. Also, Coach Holt, I can't tell you how many times, has come on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network and talked about going to Drillers games with his brother-in-law and watching Bobby Miller just not throwing enough strikes at the Double-A level. I started a long time ago trying to make the narrative that Bobby Miller needed to cut down on the total mix that he has, quit trying to throw 19 pitches, find 2 pitches that he can master, and then occasionally orbit something around that because whatever 2 pitches those are, I think are going to be good enough to get him by with a dominant third pitch and then orbiting around that. And so I've said for a long time, he needs to be a 2-seam cutter guy. And the reason is I think he consistently can throw strike. Are those the 2 nastiest pitches he has? Absolutely not. His changeup and probably his curveball are his 2 nastiest pitches, right? But the reason why I say I've said this for probably 2 years now is that I think he can throw the 2-seam to turn right, the cutter to turn left. I think he can throw those 65-70% of the time. I think he can get those in zone 60 to 70% of the time. And then he can orbit the changeup, the nasty stuff, around the strike throwing aspect of it. So I've been tooting that horn for a long time. It hasn't quite happened yet. I do think coming into this year, Bobby Miller is going to turn into a 2-seam cutter guy. He's going to throw the occasional changeup off of that. And I think that's going to be a lesser version than what Bobby Miller is capable of. But it doesn't matter what you're capable of if you can't throw strikes. It's going to be the best version of what he's capable of executing at this point. So I haven't given up on Bobby Miller yet. Having said that, no surprises whatsoever that that's what's happening to him is happening to them. If there has been one channel out there that has not tooted Bobby Miller's horn and never tooted Diego Cartaya's horn, it's definitely been this one, because there's just parts of the game that you see that are too big of holes.
Yep, and these are something that each one of these guys has to work on with each one of their games. And even if it's something where we recognize some of the potential flaws, some of the potential holes, it's not one of those things where we want to just harp on each one of the individual flaws and holes, because it's okay, this is something that we potentially are noticing. It's stuff that the reason why, while these guys were at the time really highly touted prospects within the system, these are some of the areas that they potentially had to work on. Diego Cartaya still had a 27% strikeout percentage, even at the lower levels when he was having a lot of success, which I think was in part due potentially to some of the swing holes that he had as part of his game. And this is why you just have to be patient with some of these guys. It never comes from any sort of thing where, Bobby Miller should do this. It never comes from the state of, no, this guy's not good enough, because all the talent still is in Diego Cartaya. All the talent still is in a Bobby Miller. It's just they're parts of their game that we want to see be able to get fixed to get to his level, and we're rooting for them to be able to get to that level. And in order for them to get to that level, they need to go ahead and work on these specific aspects of the game. So with each one of these guys, we're going to try to do our best to be able to talk about the highlights with each one of them, talk about why they should be excited about each one of these guys, but then also talk about, okay, these are some of the potential areas in which I could see there being some need for some growth before he gets to that next level. And that's how I want it to be highlighted. I don't want it to be something to where, and this is the reason why I don't really necessarily like talking about Diego Cartaya all the time, is because people just keep beating up on Diego Cartaya right now. And that's not fair to him. He was a 20-year-old kid coming up through Great Lakes. So I don't get why we keep talking about him as this failed prospect. No,
that's my fault. That's my fault.
He was a kid within the organization. So just be patient with each one of these guys as they come up through the system, and allow the process to be able to play out.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I think Charles Davalon's a guy that Dodgers fans need to pay attention to. Definitely a lot of great outfitters. So a question here, what does Zire Hope, do you think, how concerned? So we got to talk about, we can't just talk about all the great aspects, because whenever you talk about all the tools, whenever we don't talk about the negative aspects of a player, what we're actually doing is we're giving you all the reasons why they will be a major leaguer, right? And then whenever you talk about some of the things they need to work on, you're talking about all the things that might keep them from being a major leaguer, right? So if there was one thing that might keep Zire Hope from becoming, we're not trying to say they're not great players or this, that. We're not trying to criticize. We're not trying to throw shade. We're just trying to give an honest evaluation on both sides. What could make him a great major leaguer? What could keep him from being that kind of conversation? So with Zire Hope, definitely the thing that could keep him from being the major leaguer we all hope he becomes is, and that's kind of what I'm saying with Paul. That's all I'm saying about. I'm not saying it will happen at all. Hell, he could end up being Max Muncy, but with a 320 batting average. I'm not saying that.
He could be Yordan Alvarez 2.0,
Absolutely.
which is what people have stated.
I'm not saying he won't be. I'm just saying this is what I'm excited to watch in the process moving forward. So what I'm excited to watch with Zire Hope is, we know the impact is there. There's a lot of lift in his swing. He starts his upward plane to his swing very deep in the back of his swing. That concerns me. The strikeout rate concerns me. So what part of that concerns you in terms of his strikeout rate, and what needs to happen, do you think? Is that something that's sustainable for him?
Okay, so there is, with Zire Hope, let's talk about the positives first. The impact on the baseball is absolutely there. Exit velos are phenomenal. Tremendous. He's got a pretty solid approach to the plate, being able to draw a decent amount of walks. He's a great athlete in the outfield. He's got some decent power that you could absolutely see. Had a chance to be able to watch him hit one off of Chase Burns in April this past season, which Chase Burns, Cincinnati Reds pitcher, part of the system. The one thing that is there with Zire Hope, that if it is something where he struggles this upcoming year, it's going to be the thing. It's going to be the swinging miss. And it's not just the strikeout percentage, which this past year at Great Lakes was 26.5%, pretty high. That's 18% below league average for the Midwest League. But if you're talking about the one aspect of that has me a little bit concerned, It's his contact percentage. His contact percentage this past year was just 68%. That is pretty low for the amount of swings that he actually makes, which could mean, man, if you have that contact percentage that low, you just need to be a little bit more aggressive at the plate, which means that maybe the walks need to come down in the future at some point, or it just needs to be something where needs to do something to be able to get some more consistent contact. When he makes contact with the baseball, it's big time impact. Great athlete at the plate, still a tremendous amount of tools. But if you're looking for one aspect to be worried about going forward, it's not just his strikeout percentage, but the contact percentage that he makes on the baseball, which could be he's just looking to hammer the pitch as best as it can. If he's
this is 103. That's 103. That's how easy 103 looks to him.
Yeah. Oh, it's so easy, and that could just be the thing where, man, he's trading off a little bit of contact for more impact on the baseball. The question is, how much of that trade-off can you make going forward at the upper levels of the system?
I'll tell you the thing I think that gives Zire Hope if you were to say, does Zire Hope have an advantage over Josue de Paula? Here's a little bit of his swing breakdown. See how he flattens right there? He's at 0 degrees right here. And what most guys do is that from here they keep their hands going flat. And as their hands come flat, then they turn the barrel down to the ball there. That's how most major league hitters do. That way, in the back, you get a lot of hard ground balls the other way. In the middle, you get all those 10-degree line drives to both gaps. And in front, as you're lifting back up, that's where you hit all your home runs. But watch how early Zire Hope actually starts lifting with his swing here. See how he's already lifting in the back there? That's where the swing and miss comes, because if your timing is off at all, you're just absolutely not going to hit that pitch because your hands aren't coming flat, which means you're not able to make your adjustments in the way that you're turning the barrel to the ball. He's already got everything set in terms of the plane in which he's going to send the barrel through the zone. So mechanically, that's my issue with Zire Hope right there. But I will say, I think if you were to make the statement, if you were to say, why does Zire Hope, I'm not saying he does, but why does he have maybe an advantage over Josue de Paula? If somebody wanted to make that case, I would say it's because he's a better defensive player. I think Zire Hope is a fantastic outfielder. He's a great athlete. He's very physical. And I think if push comes to shove and they both have their flaws offensively, I think the defensive aspect of it definitely goes to Zire Hope.
Yeah, so
that would be the tiebreaker for me.
Yeah, if they are at the same level of offense, which I'm not saying that they're going to be at the exact same level of offense, but
there goes the phone.
I know. Yeah, there we go. If they were at the same level of offense, Zire Hope has got to be advantage only because he's a better defender out there. With Zire Hope, you're probably, or with Josue de Paula, you're probably talking about maybe left field probably being the projection for him going forward. With Zire Hope, there's still a possibility of him being athletic enough to play a lot of different outfield positions. Probably more of the corners would be my guess, although he still has the ability to be able to play center field. But, I mean, you just look at the build of him. He's built to be able to hit for a good chunk of power. Both are sneaky at being able to steal bases. Zire Hope stole like 26 bases. Josue de Paula stole 30-plus stolen bases, so they got that aspect of their game. There's a lot of well-roundedness as part of each of their games. I just think Zire Hope's got the slight edge defensively over Josue de Paula, and both of them fairly same level of production at the high level, which they spent just about all of last year.
Okay, so let me explain to you what I was talking about before. Here is 0 degree slot. When I say 0 degrees, the barrel is exactly flat. So like 1 degree or anything above 0 means the barrel's above the hands. -1 or anything below 0 is a negative bat angle, right? Okay, so right here, this is what I call 0 degree slot. The best hitters, they slot this barrel at 0 degrees at the exact same time they slot this back elbow. Okay, that's called getting to slot. You see Joe Morgan flap that chicken wing. That's what he was trying to remind himself to do. And the best hitters, the ones that actually give themselves the longest time through the zone, slot at the back of the hitting zone. See how he slotted way back here on his back hip? A lot of the weaker hitters, a lot of the guys this is how you can tell how much lasting actual power. We know he has pop, but why? This is the why here. So a lot of the guys that don't have the natural power of Zire Hope, they actually have to move their hands forward so much to gather momentum to get that kind of torque that their hands, they actually don't come to slot until the front of the zone, which means they don't have any adjustability. So for those guys to actually create pop in the front of the zone, they're going to have a lot of swing and miss behind that. So one thing that would be in Zire Hope's favor here, what I want you to watch, remember on that last one where he started lifting real fast? This is what I'm talking about where the best hitters do. Watch where he goes from here. Watch his hands. His hands right here are going to stay flat, not the barrel, the hands. The hands are going to stay flat, and as the hands come through flat here, watch this barrel get turned down to the ball. And then once it gets to the front of the swing, watch the barrel then come back up. So what I want you to watch is watch the hands come flat, watch the barrel come down, then watch it go back up. Watch this. Boom. I mean, that is now that swing right there, watch this, back to slot, okay, right here, back to slot, down to the ball, hands flat through the hitting zone, up in front. Now, if Zire Hope if he can duplicate that swing right there, that is a guy that can hit 40 to 45 home runs. He can adjust to off-speed pitches. He can hit probably however many, a crap ton of doubles to the opposite field. He's going to hit 110-mile-an-hour singles up the middle, and that's a complete hitter. So if Zire Hope can duplicate that second swing, that's something that not very many guys can do because he starts slotting on the back and he has that entire hitting window, and he can hit the ball so hard on the back of his zone like most guys that don't have his power can do. So he can have the power on the back, he can have the adjustability in the middle, and he can have the just massive home runs in front. So if he can duplicate that second swing, that's a guy that nobody else, in my opinion, that's an upside that no other outfielder has in this organization. That second swing that we just saw.
Yep.
That's when you fall in love with the Zire Hope.
Oh, yeah, that's what you fall in love with. And I mean, he's going up to the double A level, entering his age 21 season. Really excited to see what he's able to do. By the way, those jerseys for that last video that you showed, those are some sick jerseys that the Loons had. They kind of upgraded that with a different version of the Dodgers blue. I actually never got a chance to be able to get the white version of the Dodger blue Loons jersey. So yeah, that might be something where I'm going to have to. It might be a little bit hard to be able to get that, but no, Zire Hope, really phenomenal player.
He is. Okay, so let's get to. We may break down some Josue de Paula side swing. I don't know if I have a side angle. Let me kind of scroll through here. Go ahead and talk about a little bit about the 26 man roster. I'm old.
Yeah, 25 man. Yeah, we're going back in time.
I have Freudian slips there now. Come on, dumbass. It's 26. Yeah. I know that. Okay, I'm trying to flip through all my videos and see if I have a side view of Josue de Paula so I could kind of compare both swings, and I don't see one right here. I may have one from 2024. Do you have the ability to go through the 40-man roster right now and kind of talk about who might and might not be on the 26? All
right, so this is a little bit of a side topic while Casey's working on getting out the video. So it is no longer a 25-man roster; it's a 26-man roster. I know Shohei Ohtani. I know Shohei Ohtani counts as both a pitcher and a hitter, but he doesn't have to count twice, which means you don't have 25 players. You can actually have 26 and have Shohei Ohtani be the bonus player, so he's technically the 27th player on this roster. Let's go through the offense at this point, because I think the offense is pretty much set and pretty simple with how things are going to work out. I think, and this is assuming Kike Hernandez is going to be brought back, and he's going to be on the injured list, and assuming Tommy Edman is going to be on the injured list, I think 12 of the 13 position players are pretty well set. You have the starting position players of Ohtani, Smith. This is not in any sort of order, but Ohtani, Smith, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Pages, and Kyle Tucker. Your bench is looking projected to be Dalton Rushing, Andy Ibanez, brought in through free agency, Miguel Rojas, and likely an Alex Call for the reasons that we've identified on previous shows over Ryan Ward. That gets you 12 of your 13 position players, assuming Tommy Edman is starting the season on the injured list and Kike Hernandez on the injured list. That leaves room for one of Alex Freeland or Ha-Seong Kim to be able to fill that infield type role, or I guess a Ryan Ward, but there really isn't a role for Ryan Ward. So it's one of Alex Freeland or Ha-Seong Kim potentially earning the spot in for opening day. That's what your infield, the 26-man roster looks like for the infield. There really is one battle that is had right there. You can call it two if you want to make it a Alex Call and Ryan Ward. but Ryan Ward's inability to play center field, I think, is going to really hurt him,
Yes.
especially early in the season.
100%.
Once you get to the pitching side, before we get to any type of video that Casey may or may not have with Josue de Paula.
I got it.
You got it. Let's go to the pitching side really quick just to finish off this segment. I have penciled in, as far as guys that don't have any minor league options, there is 10 of the 13 roster spots filled up. And this includes an Emmett Sheehan and a Roki Sasaki. I'm assuming that both of those guys are going to start the season at the major league level, or assuming that everybody is healthy. I think your starters are fairly well set unless there is potentially some competition that you want to see had for Roki Sasaki's starting position spot. It's Glasnow, Otani, Sasaki, Sheehan, Snell, and Yamamoto. That's 6, but technically 5 counting towards the 13 because Shohei Otani doesn't count in that pitching group. And then the bullpen, if you're talking about guys that could be healthy, that don't have any minor league options, 6 of the spots are filled up. Banda, Edwin Diaz, Bruce Dargretero, Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, and Alex Vesia. That leaves 2 spots potentially open for guys to fight for in spring training. You have some starters. I don't know if they would turn to a Knack, Ryan, Stone, or Robleski, potentially Robleski, but if they want to keep him as a starter, there's not room at the major league level, barring injuries, as a major league starter. So then you're talking about a competition for 2 spots for a Ben Casparius, Jack Dreyer, Paul Gervais, Edgardo Henriquez, Kyle Hurt, Will Klein, Ronan Kopp, Bobby Miller, and potentially who else they sign to a non-roster invite to spring training if they want to just add somebody to the roster. That's what you're looking like as the overall roster. So there's maybe 1 spot on the offense, likely between Alex Freeland and Ha-Seong Kim to start the season with Tommy Edman on the injured list. And there's probably 2 bullpen spots that are open for competition at this point. Again, assuming that they try to keep Anthony Banda on the roster as best as they can, and assuming that there's not any additional injuries that pop up, and that Roki Sasaki is going to start the season at the major league level, which I think is a fairly good bet. Although I think with his numbers, it should be open to a little bit more competition if they see more areas for Roki Sasaki to be able to grow, which certainly there are areas for him to be able to grow.
You see a scenario with him being in AAA not being injured?
I see if things. Wow. If he struggles, especially early, and you're talking about Gavin Stone, who was a major league pitcher. He was one of he was up there in the Dodgers rotation before he got injured. You have a River Ryan who's coming up, a Justin Robleski who pitched in games 6 and 7 in the World Series, and Roki Sasaki, who's as I've stated before, his numbers were not great as a starter, and he's got minor league options. If it's to the point where Roki is kind of struggling right now. We need to figure some things out with him. You've got really good options that are not only good options to potentially turn to, you've got guys that are major league ready that easily can be filled in at any point that you want to give those guys major league experience as well. So that's a potential option. I don't see Emmett Sheehan having to fight for his spot on the major league roster. I think he's pretty much set. I think if it's any place in the starting rotation that is not injury related, is Roki Sasaki's spot.
Yep. So let me go ahead and flip this over. And I've got several of these different videos of Josue de Paula. So this is what I'm talking about. This is 0 degree slot again. The bat is exactly flat, 0 degrees. That's what that means. It's not above his hands. It's not below his hands. That exact moment where the barrel gets slotted at 0 degrees. And again, like I said, the best hitters, they slot that back elbow. Matter of fact, most of them use that back elbow to get that barrel slotted down. You don't want the first move in your swing to be with your hands, because if that happens, you're going to push your hands forward instead of pulling the barrel down to the baseball. So a lot of hitters concentrate on slotting that back elbow and letting that be the first move. So again, this is that slot where you slot the elbow. You're at 0 degrees with your barrel here. Now remember, I showed you that Zire Hope was way back here whenever he got slotted, which gave him that entire hitting window to make adjustments to. That's why he's able to hit so many balls hard in the back of the zone. This is what I'm talking about, the way most hitters have to do it, and this includes Josue de Paula. Look, his hands are all the way to the front of the zone before he ever gets to 0 degrees and starts making his adjustments to the ball, which means all of his adjustments to the ball, Austin, are all out front of the hitting zone. And if your adjustments are in front of the hitting zone instead of through the hitting zone, what those adjustments are going to be is ground balls. Your adjustments are going to be, because if you lift from here out front, if you start lifting from here out front too much, you're going to hit a bunch of rollover ground balls to the second baseman, and you're going to be really pissed about it. So if all of your adjustments are out front, okay, then that's going to lead to a whole lot of ground balls. Where if your adjustments are in the back through the middle, the back's going to lead. That's going to lead to a lot of line drives in the middle. And that's going to get you in the position to actually time the ball in front to get the ball in the air. So this is the concern I have with Josue Paula. If your hands are in front by the time you get to 0 degree slot here before you slot your back elbow, and all your adjustments are in the front of the zone, I just worry like hell that major league pitchers are going to be able to just beat the crap out of a hitter that's making all of his adjustments right here in the front. The hitters, to me, that have the best adjustability are making adjustments from the back of the zone to the front of the zone, all the way through contact at the front of the zone. So those are the mechanical concerns I have of Josue Paula, which is what I'm saying is, if he's not behind it, if he gets behind in the count instead of getting in front of the count as he takes so many pitches, and now he's actually having to adjust the pitches instead of guessing because or hunting because he's down in the count and he's having to look hard and adjust a breaking ball, he is not going to be able to do it doing it out front. You cannot adjust to breaking balls out front, because if you're looking hard and adjusting soft and every adjustment's out front, then you're going to be early on everything and roll everything over to the pull side. So that's my mechanical concern with Josue Paula, paired with, okay, well, if pitchers start throwing more strikes and actually exploiting the fact that he takes too many pitches, he will not have a chance at that point. That's the adjustment that he would have to make. Those are my mechanical concerns that are mixed with the approach concerns. And maybe I'm making them up, maybe I'm not, but that's my explanation of it. Did any of that make sense?
Yep. And with Josue Paula, one of the things that has been talked about with him is, how do you get the ball in the air more with him? How do you be able to get to elevate the ball at least a little bit more from what he has to be able to tap into some of that power?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so put your slot back to like Zire Hope. Get him to slot at the back of the zone instead of the front of the zone. So now we're adjusting the barrel down to the ball. And as you adjust the barrel down to the ball, you're trying to match the plane of the pitch. So if you turn the barrel down to the ball to 30 degrees and the ball's coming down at 30 degrees, that's going to be a perfect line drive. And the more you get it out in front of the zone, you're going to have a more negative bat angle, meaning like your bat angle is going to be like 40 degrees while the ball's coming in at 30 degrees. And for every negative bat angle you have in comparison to the plane of the pitch, that's a fly ball, correct? So the way that you get a Josue Paula to hit the ball in the air more is you get him to slot in the back, you get him to flatten in the middle, and you get him to lift in front, something that he has never, ever, ever done. He gets on his front foot, he gets on his front side, he makes all his adjustments in the front. So to say, let's slot in the back, let's flatten the middle, let's go up in front, that's an entire swing change for Josue Paula. That's pretty hard to do at a double-A level, even though he is young. And so that's another concern for me is this carnation of Josue Paula, what will that do in the front of the zone against major league caliber execution? That's where I'm at. And he might be just so talented that he can overpower major league pitchers, and it doesn't matter what he just might be that good, right? Like Rafael Palmeiro swung the exact same way, and he was just that good. He swung a magical wand. And Josue Paula might be just that good, but I want to see it first, if that makes sense.
Yep, and this is why we give the times to be able to continue to prove it at the levels that they're going through, and we'll see that with Josue Paula this upcoming year. Man, it feels great to have you, Casey, get into your coaching mindset and be able to break down some of that stuff.
I get all geeky. I'm sorry.
I know. I feel like I spend a lot of time being able to dive into numbers a whole lot. I feel like I overwhelm some of the people with numbers. Being able to get into some of the coaching side, I think, is what brings a lot of balance to this show. So we should do a little bit more of this, Case.
Hey, will Jackson Ferris be the Oklahoma City opening day starter? That's a great question, Show's bringing his or her. I don't want to even there. Let's say there. Okay, there is Jackson Ferris. Jackson Ferris, and this is his warm up routine live from T-Town. Will he be the opening day starter for Oklahoma City? Now, that's a great question on multiple fronts, and I'm talking a lot tonight, Austin. Sorry, I'm kind of hyper.
No, you're good.
It's Friday night in the big town. We're awaiting a snowstorm, so deal with it. Right? No, I'm just joking. Okay, so that's a big question on two fronts. One, I think, obviously, that states, hey, you're starting AAA Oklahoma City. That means you're one step closer to the major leagues. But if he is the opening day starter for Oklahoma City, I think that is a clear and concise statement from the Dodgers organization. You do what you're supposed to do, Big Jackson Ferris. You will be a major leaguer this year. I think if he's the opening day starter, that is a clear statement from the Dodgers. And trust me, they make statements through decisions like that all the time. They make statements to guys by putting them in a certain lineup or giving them a certain routine without ever having to say a word to them. That would be that statement to Jackson Ferris.
It would be a massive statement to Jackson Ferris.
Yes.
So the question is, will Jackson Ferris start the season with Oklahoma City? I think that's the first question that you have to be able to answer, because he's got to be in Oklahoma City to be even in consideration for the opening day starter. Because I think if he is in Oklahoma City, I think there actually is a really good chance that he is the opening day starter, just because they want to be able to make that statement. And because, man, we were talking about throughout the course of the year, they're potentially needing 10 to 12, maybe however many starters that they're going to need throughout the course of the season. Maybe it becomes Jackson Ferris's role to be able to fill in at some point through the season. We've talked about him being Rule 5 eligible after this upcoming year. What better way to say it, especially after the way he ended this previous season, to be able to go out and say, yeah, you are our guy. We want you to start in Oklahoma City. I think out of the group, especially with a large collection of arms at the AA level, and especially out of the starters, he's probably the one that is close to. He's going to be the one that probably would get the promotion out of all of them. So at Showtime, if I had to take a guess, which I don't want to put the organization in this position, nor there's a lot of stuff that could happen between now and then.
They don't care what you think, Austin.
I would say yes. If I had to make a prediction today, that would be my prediction.
You know why I know they don't care what you think?
What is that?
Because they don't care what I think. Yeah. They don't care what anybody. They're so good at this, they could give a rat's ass what anybody thinks, right? So yeah, Jackson Ferris is so cocky, and I say that with the utmost respect and utmost love. When I say he's cocky, I mean he is the kind of cocky that I like. I have been accused by many, many, many different people in my life of being a cocky little ass. And every time somebody calls me that, you know how that makes me feel, Austin?
How's that?
That makes me feel awesome. I absolutely love it. Fantastic. I'm glad I came off as cocky, and I'm glad you think that I'm that way. And that's the so confidence, cocky, whatever you want to call it. It's both, okay? You have to. Baseball's such a game of failure. To be a professional baseball player, I always get a kick. Well, he's arrogant. Well, hell yes, he's arrogant. He's a professional baseball player. If you're not arrogant, you're not going to make it in this game. And now there's different ways in which these guys are trained to portray their arrogance. But I promise you, every time they hold the ball, they're thinking, I'm getting ready to shove it up your you-know-what. Well, that's arrogance. They are that type of arrogant to where they think they are the best player on the field. Give me the damn ball. I don't want anybody else to have it. I want to have it because I'm the best damn dude here. That's how every one of these guys think. So, yeah, of course everybody's arrogant. And they're certainly all cocky, and that all leads into being extremely confident. Because if you're not, you don't even make it to Rancho. I promise you that. This game is way too hard. And if you're a little whiny brat and you're always feeling sorry for yourself, your teammates are going to kick your ass. If not literally, they're going to kick your ass off the team. So I love the confidence. I love the cockiness of Jackson Ferris. And I'll tell you another thing that I really like about Jackson Ferris last year, Austin.
Yep.
And that is he did not have a good first half of last season.
Nope.
That is a great thing. And you go, well, what is this fat old man, this dumbass talking about? He likes the fact that Jackson Ferris didn't have a good first half of last season. Why would he like that? Is he cynical or what's going on? No, actually, when you have a superstar type of mentality, when you have a superstar type of a guy who's been kind of tabbed as the next superstar, I'm always the contrarian. They're like, well, I want to see what he does whenever he's not the superstar, whenever somebody has a target on his back, and he is struggling. How's he going to handle it whenever things aren't going the way that people are telling him they should be going for him? How does he handle those moments? Can he handle failure? That's what I want to know about the superstar type players. I know the average players can handle failure. I know Griffin Lockwood Powell can handle failure because he's not good enough. He's just good enough to fail all the time, and he has to continue to play and have confidence even though he fails all the time. I want to know the guys that don't fail all the time, how do they handle failure? So whenever he didn't have a good first half of last year, and I talked to him right at the verge of right after he'd had a bad first half, getting ready to have a good second half, he wasn't phased. You would not have been able to tell that he was struggling. He was just like, I'm going to go out tomorrow night, I'm going to be Jackson Ferris, and I'm going to pitch, and I'm going to shove it up their ass. Even in the face of more failure than he'd ever dealt with, ever, that was the way that he handled that. And at that moment, I was more sold on Jackson Ferris than I ever had been, because I was like, oh, not only is he good, not only is he talented, not only is he going to ride these waves to where he's dominant, he can also handle the failure moments too. That sold me on Jackson Ferris.
Yep, and that confidence, that arrogance, and the ability to pitch, I guess you could throw that in, is the reason why he's going to be starting the season, or projected to start the season, probably as the opening day starter for Oklahoma City, and why we're talking on Dodgers Dawgs instead of being in Oklahoma City pitching for the Dodgers organization.
Yeah. How about Carson Hobbs closing too? We're just kind of spinning this entire show on our babies, man. I get off on my babies here, and it's hard for me to get off of them. So if you don't like the prospects, I'm sorry.
Well, we've got a pretty decent crowd that's here tonight, being able to watch it, which is good. Carson Hobbs. I'll be curious to see where he starts, because because he started off the season again with Great Lakes, and they kept him there for until it was to the point where they weren't going to make the playoffs or going to make a playoff berth in the first half. Made it a promotion to Double-A. So Carson Hobbs had half a season with Tulsa, which the entirety of last year was dominance for Carson Hobbs. The question with Carson is just going to be, how much room is there going to be with Tulsa? Because we talk about the level, all the guys at the minor league level, or guys on the 40-man roster that are relief pitchers, or pitchers that are going to have to be potentially optioned to the minor leagues. All those guys aren't going to Tulsa. They're going to Oklahoma City, which means there's a very narrow window of arms that are going to be available, which means that if Carson Hobbs starts the season with Tulsa, not saying that he's going to start the season with Tulsa, it's in part due to some of the logjam that is had at the Oklahoma City level. But when Carson Hobbs was on the mound last year, it was absolutely ridiculous, filthy type of stuff. He is going to be a major league player coming up very shortly.
He absolutely is. Totally agree. I'm going to talk to Antonio Knowles here next week, too.
Nice.
For an interview. I love Knowles. He's the spin doctor. Matter of fact, I asked Carson Hobbs, who has that really nice slider, a really, really, really good slider Hobbs does.
Yes.
And he has a big curveball, but his slider's his go-to pitch, right? And I was like, okay, well, who's the actual spin doctor? You or Tones? And as good as and of course, Hobbs he's got a humbleness to him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's got that arrogance too. Like, hey, I'm the best dude. But he's a very humble dude. He, yes sir, no sir, young man out of Alabama that was taught small town values, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I asked him point blank, "Who's the actual spin doctor? You or Tones?" He goes, Tones. Antonio Knowles' slider is stupid. I mean, there's nobody can manipulate a ball like him. So I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to interview. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially when talking about Antonio Knowles and the situation of there being potentially a logjam, you're not just dealing with Edgardo Enriquez, Will Klein, Ben Casparius, Ronan Kopp, all these different guys on the 40-man roster at Oklahoma City. Man, Antonio Knowles, you look at his season last year, he posted a 3.18 ERA, it was a 3.05 ERA for Tulsa this past season, and actually made the jump in the promotion to Oklahoma City, where Antonio Knowles had a really good season this past year. If you want to see, hey, can he continue off with the success that he had? Can he continue off with the 28.5% strikeout percentage and the sub 8% walk percentage that he put up at Tulsa this past season. Let's see what happens when we give him a little bit more extended time. 16% swinging strike percentage. Let's give Antonio Knowles a little bit of runway as well. If Carson Hobbs starts the season in Tulsa, it's in part because of the guys at the major league level, but also because they have a lot of talented arms. And Antonio Knowles, he doesn't need the challenge of Tulsa. He needs the challenge of Oklahoma City. Whereas with Carson Hobbs, he spent half a season in Tulsa. So that could be some of the reasons why they don't necessarily make the jump immediately, because they've got a lot of good guys that are part of the mix. Antonio Knowles is one of those guys that completely went under the radar how good he was this past season.
Yeah, and he predicates on a slider. We had a question, what is the carry like on Carson Hobbs' fastball? I can tell you last year in most of his outings, he averaged right at 2,600 on a spin. Averaged, not hit. Okay, he averaged. I was just looking back through my messages right now. Tonight, the average fastball spin, average again, fastball spin 2,595. Slider and curveball were both right at 2,700. Yeah. So 3,000 RPM slider is what it's going to end up being. 2,600 RPM average or right at it fastball. That's the carry that Carson Hobbs has. Yeah, he is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's going to get a ton of swing and miss with pitches up in the zone with that type of spin on his fastball. If you combine that with the nasty off-speed stuff that's going to go south on hitters, it's going to be ridiculous type of stuff. Carson Hobbs is legit. And it's one of those things where you could see some of the signs in the 2024 season, especially as the growth and development as part of the process, which is why it's not just a look at the overall numbers, but look at the growth process and see, especially with people that has as much talent as Carson Hobbs does, see what type of growth there could be, and especially when the pieces come together. And last year, all the pieces came together with Carson Hobbs to the point where, man, he's probably going to make his big league debut at some point in 2026 if things continue on this trajectory.
Yeah, so it's similar to Vesia and Dreyer, just harder. Yeah, absolutely, and it's right-handed. This is Christian Zazueta, and then we're going to get into one more conversation about the 26-man roster, not 25, Ross. Yep. Right? Okay. This is Christian Zazueta, a young man who is very, very good at execution, which was something the Dodgers needed because every team except for Rancho led their league in base on balls, and it was by a good margin. It was very hard to watch. If you watch the Dodgers minor league system last year, yes, there was a lot of talent, but they were hard games to watch because they just didn't throw enough strikes. And for me, as a baseball fan, the one thing I have a hard time watching is not throwing strikes. I can't watch it. It just pisses me off. It's not fun to watch. It's not enjoyable. I get the point of it. So whenever I had a chance to watch Nicolas Cruz, when I have a chance to watch El Pulpito, Christian Zazueta, then I did every single time. Even Landon Knack when he was on. Those kind of guys, because it was just refreshing after seeing all the big arms the Dodgers have that don't throw any strikes. To see a Christian Zazueta was very satisfying to see. So huge year for Christian Zazueta. Got the Dodgers traded for him in the Caleb Ferguson trade. Excited to see. It kind of reminds me of a Jared Karros type. Jared Karros had a lot of success until he got to AA Tulsa, struggled last year. Of course, he was hurt. I'm excited to see the execution focus, how that continues to perform as he goes up against better hitters, as he goes up in higher levels.
Yep, he's going to start the season almost certainly at Great Lakes. You can see his one appearance that he had against West Michigan towards the end of the 2025 season. And you talk about the execution. It's not just execution. It's the ability to get swing and miss combined with the ability to consistently execute. One of the ways you can measure that, strikeout percentage minus his walk percentage, that's at 24%. That is elite type of territory for Christian Zazueta, with getting a ton of swing and miss, 17% swing and strike percentage. Not necessarily a ton of ground balls, a more of a fly ball type of pitcher, which means he's going to give up he's going to give up his fair share of extra base hits, power. That at least is going to come at some point for him. But he was really good at being able to limit any sort of damage. A 2.44 ERA overall for him, which with his ability to strike out a bunch of hitters, not walk a whole lot of guys, even if the guys are able to get couple base hits, which they aren't able to a ton for against Christian Zazueta. He just goes out there and is able to execute that. I'm so excited to be able to actually get a little bit more of a deep dive and be able to understand more of the type of pitcher that he is. And you're talking about the pitcher you could be most excited about, or one of the guys you could be most excited about if you're a fan of the Great Lakes Loons, which you know that I am. Zazueta is one of the guys that you need to watch, and he's going to be one of the main pieces in that rotation coming up in 2026.
Yeah, he's that guy that brings his paintbrush with him. He's an artist, and he likes to paint the game together and to make art out of pitching, no doubt.
Yes.
And there's still a place for guys like that, no doubt about that. And we have a comment, I must have hated watching Ronaldo Yeen. I promise you everybody hated watching Ronaldo Yeen, and I don't mean that to throw Ronaldo Yeen under the bus. It's just watching a guy just not getting – I mean, literally whenever you're in professional ball and your comment or your thought, you probably don't verbalize it, but your thought is just throw strikes. I mean, it's like, okay, what do we intend? I mean, it's like that's what you tell a 10-year-old kid whenever he's starting to throw kid pitch. We're here at the high level, and literally my thought is, hey, let's just throw strikes. That is a very frustrating thing for everybody. And, again, not to mean to throw Ronaldo. I'm sure he was the most frustrated out of everybody. And I think there's a little bit of an internal fight there. I think he would like to throw about – this is why you see with Ronaldo Yeen versus Edgardo Henriquez. Edgardo Henriquez will hold the 101, will hold the 102, and he'll hit 101, 102 consistently, whereas Ronaldo Yeen will hit a 104, then the next one will be like 97. That's because, in my opinion, I think I'm right here too. I'll say that. I think there's an internal battle where I think Ronaldo Yeen actually wants to throw about 97, 98 and throw strikes. But I think the Dodgers want him to max out at 104, 103, 104 because he can. And so there's this battle between, okay, well, let's maximize your stuff versus let's maximize what you can actually get in the zone. I think Yeen's over here, the organization is there, and it hasn't meshed yet. I think that's where we're at with Ronaldo Yeen, and I don't think I'm wrong on that. So I think, like, if he went to, say, Tampa Bay and he got into, say, Tampa Bay AA, wherever their AA's at, Tampa Bay is an organization, they don't want you to maximize in your stuff. They want you to maximize the best stuff you can have while also throwing the most amount of strikes. I think if he went to, like, Tampa Bay, he'd be a decent strike thrower. He'd be way better than he is right now. So I think that's the frustrating part of that. So, okay. Here, I want to get into the pitchers here, and let's say that Brock Stewart's healthy, okay? So let's go through.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so let's go through these names, and I want you to give me a yes or no. And if you are if there is a salary cap, if you are a disagreement with Austin, either one of us here, just type it in the chat. Okay, so Blake Trinan, yes or no?
Yes.
We're going 26.
Okay. Yeah. So are we talking about opening day roster, or are we talking about in the postseason?
We're having way too much fun. Yes.
Yeah. Because let's lay the groundwork of what we're actually talking about, because we could be talking on the same. So opening day roster, which I don't believe Brock Stewart's going to be healthy for opening day, which is why I leave him off of the list that I've talked about.
He'll be healthy pretty soon, though.
I think he's going to miss some time to start the season, at least based on some of the reports.
All right, let's go May 1st. May 1st.
Okay. So let's do May 1st. Let's just do it in a world where Brock Stewart is actually healthy.
Let's do that.
Let's do a world with Brock Stewart is actually healthy.
Because I'm a little more confident than you are, but I don't know. Okay. Blake Trinan.
Yes.
Blake Snell.
Yes, obviously.
Anthony Bonda.
He would be the one guy if you wanted to fit somebody in that you could squeeze somebody in. But right now, yes.
DFA Bonda?
With him not having any minor league options, here's the thing that you're going to run into is there's going to be one spot that's going to be open.
I agree with you, but you went on for like 10 minutes about why they're going to keep him around earlier, right?
But this is I was under the assumption that there was two bullpen spots open because Brock Stewart wasn't going to be healthy. If Brock Stewart is healthy, that leaves you with one spot. You can't just have one spot for an up-down guy.
I love it. This is an awesome. Austin, you're awesome, man. You're such a good sport. Okay, so hold on. You never even said yes or no on Bonda.
Okay. In the context of this conversation where everybody is healthy, I'm going to say a no on Anthony Bonda.
Oh, you're saying he's DFA'd by May 1st if Brock Stewart, so they're going to choose Brock Stewart instead of Anthony Bonda?
I'm saying in this unlikely world to be able to come past where everybody is healthy, that is the scenario where Anthony Bonda is DFA'd.
Hot take from Brubaker. Okay,
I'm not
Jack
saying that
Dreyer.
will happen. That's the environment where it would. Jack Dreyer. Since I said no for Anthony Bonda, I'll say yes for Jack Dreyer.
You're taking Brock Stewart and Jack Dreyer over Anthony Bonda. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
because I need a reliable right-handed reliever to get right-handed hitters out, and that's exactly what Brock Stewart is. I've got enough lefties to be able to go out there.
Glass now, yes. Gratterall?
Yes. Gratterall, yes, because of his consistency when he is healthy.
Absolutely. Henriquez?
Henrique, okay, so I got to decide who I want for that last bullpen piece. Okay, I'm debate. There's a couple of guys that I'm potentially debating with that last one. I'll say no for Henriquez, but that I could come back to that one. You got to give your answers with some of these too, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wait till I cross them all off.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
This is an exercise for you because this is your ball game here. I'm not good at this kind of stuff.
Yep.
I am if I sit down and prepare a show for it, but just off the top of my head, I'm not. You're great at this kind of stuff.
Oh, I've got a cheat sheet right here.
Yeah, you do. Sasaki?
Sasaki, I'll say yes.
Tanner Scott, yes. Emmett Sheehan, yes. Okay. Evan Phillips.
Evan Phillips, I believe, will be out via injury. If he was not out via injury, he would be added to this mix.
Alex Vesia.
Alex Vesia, yes.
Yamamoto.
Yes.
Yes. Robo.
Robo, I don't know if there's any room for Robo in this.
So you want me to wait and see? You want me to cross them through and see what that does? And then Brock Stewart. Okay, so trying to count these. Trinan, Snell, 2, Dreyer, 3, Glass now, Gratterall, Sasaki, Scott. Hold on, how many is that?
So we've got the way that it's going to work out with
7,
this.
8. Sheehan's 8. Vesia's 9. Yamamoto 10. Brock Stewart 11. Is that right? Trinan, count these, Austin.
Yeah,
Trinan, Snell, Dreyer, Glasnow, Gratterall, Sasaki, Scott, Sheehan, Vesia, Yamamoto, Stewart. How many is that?
I don't remember exactly, but you didn't have Edwin Diaz as part of that mix, I don't believe. I don't know if you said Shohei Ohtani as well.
No,
here's what I have it with Brock Stewart as healthy. The starters pretty easy: Glasnow, Ohtani, Sasaki, Sheehan, Snell, Yamamoto in alphabetical order. I'll throw it in alphabetical order for you, just for you, Casey. I said no to Anthony Bonda.
That's 12.
I said no to Anthony Bonda, so out of the bullpen, we need 8 guys out of the bullpen. So we have Edwin Diaz, Brusdar Gratterall, Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan, Alex Vesia. That's 5. Brock Stewart is 6. That leaves you with 2 additional options. I said Jack Dreyer as the 7th guy. Now I'm looking for an 8th guy. I already said no to Justin Robleski. And so I'm kind of debating between 3, maybe 4 different right-handed relievers. I'm talking about
more simple.
I'm talking about a Kasperius, a Henriquez, a Kyle Hurt, and a Will Klein, one of those guys within the mix. I'll throw do I go with? I'm debating between Kasperius or Kyle Hurt. Those are the 2 guys that I'm debating between right now.
Okay, so here we go. Trinan, Snell, Glasnow, Gratterall, Sasaki, Scott, Sheehan, Vesia, Yamamoto, Diaz, Stewart. That's 12. That leaves you 1 spot for Anthony Bonda, Edgardo Henriquez, Evan Phillips, Justin Robleski, Will Klein, Gavin Stone, River Ryan, or any of the rest of them. 1 spot.
1 spot.
And if you add Evan Phillips, that's that 1 spot.
Yep.
So if you add Evan Phillips, that leaves off Bonda. That leaves off. There is no room. If you add Evan Phillips to this when he gets healthy, okay, if Brock Stewart and Evan Phillips are both healthy, okay, that means no Anthony Bonda, no Edgardo Henriquez, no Justin Robleski, no Will Klein, no Gavin Stone, no River Ryan, no Bobby Miller, no anybody below that. That's what that means. That's how much that. Now, hey, pitching injuries happen. You have to have that depth. I get it. I mean, that's why the Dodgers have all this insurance, but that's a lot of insurance. That's way more insurance than anybody else has.
That's pretty solid insurance plan. In fact, if you're talking about May 1st, this is just a month into the season. I don't know. Maybe if I need to add another one, maybe I just still keep around an Anthony Bonda, only because I know by May 2nd, half the guys are going to be on the injured list at some point, just because the Dodgers seem to have a lot of people deal with
Jack Dreyer's in AAA.
No, he would be Anthony Bonda would be that instead of the Ben
13th.
Casparius or a Eduardo Enriquez or Kyle Hart, that specific role.
I didn't even get to Casparius. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of different guys that you can be able to have. The tricky thing about this is we have no idea who's actually going to be healthy, and the rationale behind the Dodgers having a lot of this depth is they are going to be needed depth at some point through the season, or at least the expectation based on the past couple of seasons is they're going to need this depth. Blake Snell had 2 starts before he went out with injury. Tyler Glasnow missed a good chunk of last season. Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitched a ridiculous 220 innings combined with his regular season and with his postseason innings, or something close to that. Shohei Ohtani is still working his way back. Out of the bullpen, Bruce Guerrero is coming back from injury. Blake Treinen is coming back from injury. Brock Stewart coming back from injury. There's a lot of different variables that is added to the mix. So in a world where everybody is healthy, I think that's where you could potentially take out somebody like an Anthony Bonda, who's got a really good skill set, but I think that could potentially be replaced by one of the other options. And be able to throw in a Jack Dreyer or a Justin Robleski to be able to fill in that type of role. The reality is, I don't think we live in that perfect world, which is why they want to keep these guys until as long as they can, or until they feel overly confident with the depth that they have within the system.
All right, man. Final thoughts. This has been a lot of fun. We've gotten into a really good conversation tonight. This has been fun.
Fun
Final
show,
thoughts.
A lot of fun, great crowd that we were able to have. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in Friday night. I know all you guys are looking forward to spring training. I'm looking forward to spring training too. It's going to be coming up less than a month away before Dodgers are going to be playing some spring training games. You're going to be able to see guys from the major league side of things be able to go out there and compete. But then half the games are going to be spent with some of the guys of the minor league system, which you get to see these guys grow and develop. That's the part that I'm looking forward to the most. And ultimately, a lot of these decisions that we're talking about with the roster, it's going to be sorted out in part with spring training, but mostly due to some of the health that some of these guys have. The Dodgers are in a tremendous position. The infrastructure has built them to a place where they are right now. Super excited about spring training. Looking forward to. Hopefully by Wednesday, I'll be able to have the new computer. There might be a little bit of setup that Casey and I have.
What'd you get?
So I'm more of an Apple guy, so I had to go get one of the new MacBook Airs that they have. So that one should be coming in, because I use a MacBook Pro, but it's an older one. It's still with the Intel Core.
As long as you're not doing video editing, the Air will work.
Yes, yeah.
As long as you're doing light work.
Yeah, it's mostly light work is what I'm planning on doing with it anyway. It's a lot of Googling different statistics, fan graphs, Excel, a lot of that type of stuff. A lot of generic type stuff that I'll be doing. So I'm looking forward to be able to upgrade that coming up within the next couple of days. So hopefully everything gets set up to where I don't have to use my phone for a lot of that. Yeah. And I get
how many cores? How many cores does it have?
I don't remember exactly.
How much RAM does it have in it?
That's a good question. I don't remember exactly. Here's the thing: is I spent so much time doing baseball statistics type stuff. I don't have the time to be able to dive into all this.
I'm actually very good with computer stuff. I've built computers and stuff. So.
Oh, that's sweet.
That sounds weird for a fat old man like me, right?
No, that's sweet, man. You should build some of your more computers and stuff.
Hey, I built Netflix before my wife and my son as a witness. I built Netflix before Netflix did. In my house, so we would go rent movies. This was the early 2000s, okay?
Yeah.
We'd go rent movies, and I would come home and I would rip the movie onto my hard drive, and then on my hard drive I had a network computer, okay? So I created a network, and so I would put this movie on a network, and so I had the ability to access our internet, and as long as I could access our internet, you could watch all the movies that were on this network drive from any computer that was hooked onto that network. And then they were all hooked up to big screen TVs. And so we could watch, at one point I had about 150 movies all on the same network drive that we could access on any of our computers that were all hooked to big screens, and we could watch whatever movie whenever we wanted. So I had Netflix in my house long before Netflix existed. How about that? You proud of me?
Yeah, look at you with the technology, man. I mean, that's why you're the center and the core of everything that we do. Literally, when I come on these shows, I pull up the numbers that we have, and there's very minimal type of stuff. There's a reason why I don't even change the picture for the graphics that we have, is because a little bit more low tech on the skill sets that I have. It's Casey that's the guy that can do all the technology type stuff.
My first computer was that I bought myself was 1997. Bought it from Circuit City, and it had 4 gigs of RAM, and I was like, who in the hell would ever use up 4 gigs of RAM? I mean, this is more room on a hard drive than I'll ever need. I think like my RAM was like, maybe 1 or 2 gigs or whatever. And I mean, this was like incredible, and I couldn't believe it, because basically all you were doing was just ripping free music off of Napster. And then it was Kazaa, because then they started suing people off of Napster. And then all of a sudden it became videos. And so it was like, now I have a 4 terabyte hard drive on the computer that you're looking at right now. So it's gone from 4 gigs in 1997, my first computer I ever bought as an adult, to 4 terabytes.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit of a quick story, because I've had the computer that I had. So I'm not on my computer obviously right now, but I have had this computer for.
How in the hell are we holding 82 viewers? Is what I want to know.
I know. This is going to be a little bit of a fun story. This is going to be worth it. It's going to bring in thousands of different views that we have.
We need RAM, and we need Rams to win this weekend. So there you go. Okay.
I actually disagree. I'm a little bit of a Seahawks fan. I used to live in the state of Washington, so I won't be rooting for the Rams this week. But here's a little bit of my computer story that we have right here. So I got this computer. I got it about 2020 time period. It was right before COVID had started. And the reason why I remember this is back in a couple of years prior, my great aunt had passed away, and she had a lot of unique stuff that was part of her house. But one of the things that she had that ultimately got passed down to my dad and I was this giant cat statue. It was like a giant, 3-foot cat statue, long, or maybe 2 feet wide, and then certain height. It was massive.
What kind of cat?
No idea. I have no idea. But it was holding like some sort of. It was a unique type of artistry that was made out there, and we're like, what the heck is this? Who's going to want this? And it was okay, do we go ahead and donate this somewhere? We looked it up online. It turns out that thing is kind of expensive, so we were able to go ahead and sell that thing online.
Really?
And it was actually, I had to go and carry that thing because we had that thing in some sort of drawing with it. I had to walk out with that to the UPS to be able to go and box deliver it, because it was sent overseas to, I don't know, Germany or somewhere. But we got a decent amount of money for that, so I was able to use that for my first main computer that I had. It had lasted me for 6 years or so. And it's getting to the point where, it was going to need an upgrade at some point anyway. So now I don't have a cat statue to be able to help pay for my computer. Unfortunately, I got to pay that out of my own pocket.
Hey, funny story before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody in the lobby can cheat. Okay, I got to know how to spell Ching Shin Ko. I know how to spell it. Okay, I got to know how to spell this.
Yep.
So you can't cheat. Cannot cheat. Okay, have you ever done liquid cooling? I have not. All mine have been fan cooled. I have not done liquid cooling. That sounds cool. Okay, I promise we're about done with this.
Yep.
I trust me. I know how to spell Ching Shin Ko. Okay, but if you're in the lobby, give me your best chance. Actually, type it in. Make a dumbass out of yourself. It's okay. Don't cheat and type in how you think you spell Ching Shin Ko. Okay.
Yeah. Who knew
how
that?
About it? 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Okay? Who knew that Dodgers Dogs would turn into a spelling bee tonight?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now, I know how to spell Ching Shin Ko. I'm going to defend myself. I promise I do. Okay. You know who or what doesn't know how to spell Ching Shin Ko?
Who's that?
AI. So the problem I'm having, so I got this program called Opus Clip. It's awesome. It takes our long form videos, you put it in there, and then it gives you like 1 minute segments of them. And that's what I've been posting to social media, right? And so the problem with that is when I do like 8 or 9 of them, I get in a hurry and I don't, so it has the captions and I don't read through the whole caption deal. So the other day I looked at my post and I was like, That thing spelled Ching Shin Ko like 8 different ways. And so like Ching Shin Ko probably thinks I'm a complete dumbass now. So I've got it. You got to remind me, Austin, when I do this AI bullshit, okay, I've got to make sure and go through and read all the spellings of the names. Because, I mean, it butchered the title of, I put the whole video with the video of the Ching Shin Ko clip, the short that I did on YouTube. The title had it spelled one way, the caption had it spelled 3 different ways, and then in the description I had it spelled the right way. So this AI stuff, man, I got to watch out for it. It doesn't know how to spell.
All right, so let's
Showtime got it. No, Showtime, you don't have it right. You're missing one part of that. I'll let you figure out what it is.
All right, so have we given the people enough time to be able to go through the spelling bee?
We've got one try at it.
We got one try at it. Oh,
yeah,
come
no,
on.
we got Chuck.
We got Chuck at it. Okay, we got to get at least one or two more that are part of there, being able to put your spelling abilities to the test, because this is we talked
Chuck,
about him
I love you, brother, but you were way off.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this guy on the previous show. This is one of the guys that you're going to have to know, and
absolutely,
hopefully if he comes up through the Dodger system,
100%.
It's going to be a challenge.
Should I spell it for him?
Hold on, let's go through the second.
Or should we let it marinate? Like, give him another. Should we give Showtime another shot here at it? Showtime, do you want it? You've got one mistake there that you need to correct.
All right,
so Showtime doesn't need to make changes; he needs to make tweaks. Chuck has to make overall changes.
Chuck's got a long ways to go before.
He's got a long ways to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So should we wait, or should I punch enter?
Let's give him about 15 more seconds.
Oh, he missed the hyphen. He put it there. That is exactly right there. Ding, 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 ding.
All right.
So if you see a name screwed up, I'm not taking the blame for it. It's that damn AI.
Yeah. That's what we can put all of our troubles and blames are on the AI, and not the spelling mistakes that somebody may or may not have made.
All right, man. Thanks for trying, Chuck. Showtime, fantastic job. To all of you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, how humbling it is to see the support we get here at this channel, and how fun it is to get to talk to you on Friday night in the big town. Austin, thanks. Great job again, brother.
Appreciate you, Case.
As always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.